Central Minnesota Sports Hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
It is the Morning Sports Desk on a Monday, the 7th of April. I'm CJ Baumgartner, Corey Tackman over there. Our guy Zeke joining us today because we have some section realignment stuff to talk about. We're going to get to that in a second. First of all, the Morning Sports Desk powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. We are going to be having some spring sports games on our broadcast schedule come the end of the week, both of them on the Superstation K106, both of them with 4:15 pregames and 4:30 first pitches, and two matchups of Wadena Deer Creek versus Monaga. Starting off our spring sports broadcast schedule, a matchup of two teams who finished at the top of the Park Region Conference softball standings, at a fun rivalry not only in the PRC but in Section 8AA over the last couple of years. It is Wadena Deer Creek at Monaga softball, 4:15 pregame, 4:30 first pitch. Superstation K106, Superstation K106 app, WadenaRadio.com, the place to go to check that out, and to check out Friday afternoon's game, which is Monaga at Wadena Deer Creek baseball with a 4:15 pregame, 4:30 first pitch. And I know we had snow last week, but, knocking profusely on wood, I think the corner's turned, guys. I think we'll be able to see spring sports kind of come back pretty furiously here over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, hallelujah. We're to the time of year now where things only get rained out, not snowed out.
Last year, we thought, at this time of year, we're like, oh my gosh, we're not going to have to reschedule games. Like, there's no snow. Here we go. And then it decided to monsoon from mid-April to mid-May.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So other than that, it was great. But yeah, that stuff. Check out the full broadcast schedule, as always, online at WadenaRadio.com. All right, guys, here's the big story of the day, of the weekend. We didn't really have a chance to cover it in full on Friday because it was kind of all coming in at kind of throughout the day. But Zeke, I know you did a lot of work getting a big write-up online at WadenaRadio.com, Superstation K106 mobile app. You can also find it, Sports Cow on Facebook. Can I get a moo?
Moo.
Moo.
Moo. Section realignment for all of the sports across Minnesota, and here's how it impacts some stuff. Why don't we just start kind of just with everybody kind of giving some kind of the things that stood out to you in the section realignment. Zeke, you had a chance to deep dive everything. What was some of the biggest, what was the biggest thing that stuck out to you in section realignment?
I think some big things that stick out to me. Well, first off, in section 6-2A for football, last year, a 5-team section, Staples Motley comes out of that one. And this year they add Holdingford and they add Royalton to that section now for a 7-team section with Pillager, with Wadena Deer Creek, with Monaga, with Osakis. So it's a 7-team versus a 5-team. That'll change things up pretty drastically for come playoff time and just having to go through another round of playoffs versus Staples Motley had a first. No, they beat Monaga last year, right? Or did they get the bye against Wadena Deer Creek?
Both Monaga. Basically, there were only 4 teams because Wadena.
That's what it was. Because that's what it was. Yeah.
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 So they had only one game before the Fargo Dome on Saturday against Monaga.
That's right. Yeah. So that'll impact things quite a bit. I think 9-man football is getting shaken up quite a bit. We'll talk about that in a second with Nevis and OTC both jumping up. I think one of the most ridiculous things that happened is I didn't even know this right away in my initial deep dive because I did the boys basketball section realignment. Staples Motley moving out of section 2A to section 8-2A, which is a great move for them because that's where all our conference opponents are. Corey's not having to drive to Duluth to do playoff games. And I didn't even look at the girls' side. The girls stayed in section 7-2A. They didn't move to 8-2A. And that makes no sense to me why you move the boys over, but you keep the girls in 7-2A. Maybe Hinckley Finlayson moving.
Well, I wonder if it has something to do with
6A has something to do with it.
Yeah. I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that Frazee is 8AA for girls, but 6A for boys. I'm not sure if that factors in.
Maybe, yeah. And I just don't understand why the high school league splits up teams in the same school. If it's based on enrollment and things like that, why there's a boys team in A and a girls team in 2A. They did this for Detroit Lakes Golf a couple of years ago where the girls were in 2A or 3A and the boys were a step below, even though they go to the same school, same attendance numbers. I don't know. especially for a school the size of Staples Motley, we're trying to factor in travel and get some double headers in, and it makes no sense to me why you keep the girls in 7-2A, move the boys over, but that's just me.
Yeah, it's happened in other sports. I mean, we've all given examples now. I know Wadena Deer Creek baseball and softball. One was 6AA, the other was 8AA. In talking to AD Josh Lee at Staples Motley, he said, it doesn't matter which section we're in, and we're in kind of the geographical Bermuda's Triangle here in central Minnesota, right? There's like 3 or 4 sections that if you look at least where like the radio station is and where we're out of, I mean, you're touching 4 different sections depending on school size. And Josh said, he goes, I don't care which one it is. I don't care if it's 7AA. I don't care if it's 6AA. I don't care if it's 8AA. I just want us all to be in the same one. That's the only thing I want. And then for the boys basketball team to move to 8AA, geographically, again, they're kind of hosed no matter where they go. Your Staples Motley, you got to go to Duluth or you got to go to Moorhead for your. It's not, or St. Cloud, right? If you go to 6AA, you're kind of hosed no matter which direction you pick. But for the boys anyway, to put them in the same section where all their conference opponents are going to be, just like those things just make sense to me. And but no, not the girls. I can guarantee you this much. I bet you those Staples Motley conference games are all double headers in the next season.
Absolutely.
Because those non-conference games and section games for those girls, they're ranging from North Dakota to Wisconsin on some of those.
Insane. It's insane. What else stuck out to you in section realignment, Corey?
Oh, I don't know. Nothing really. I don't really study it all that much. I kind of wait for each playoff to come around, to be perfectly frank with you. I was glad to see the basketball, the Staples Motley. I did have a question. A couple years ago, we saw teams like football, like Verndale and Bertha Hewitt, move from section 4 9-man to section 5 9-man. Does that stay the same, or do we get some realignment back the other direction?
No, they are staying the same. So they are still in a section with Cromwell, with Mille Lacs, with Lake of the not Lake of the Woods. They're in that part, Northwood, whatever. They're out east, and so they play their section final game at Brainerd High School and not at the Fargo Dome, like the other, like I believe section 4. So they are staying in that same section. They are all kind of going eastward with that. And this is the interesting part, and this is what stuck out to me. Both OTC and Nevis jumping up from 9-man to Class A and then getting stuck in the same section. So Nevis and OTC is right home in section 6A. That's where they've been historically when they are in Class A. But then to see Nevis thrown in there as well. So now you have a section with Otter Tail Central, Nevis, 2 teams that made the state tournament 2 years ago. Then you throw in Parker's Prairie, a team that made the state semifinal game a year ago. You have New York Mills in that section. You have Breckenridge in that section. Like, it is going to be a really fascinating section. 6A always is for football. But now you add OTC back, and then you add a Nevis into the mix. Should be very very fascinating, and it's a really kind of an era change for Nevis. Not only are they going up to 11-man, but Coach Klemick has stepped aside. I know that they hired one of the assistants to take over, so it's not like a brand new change there. But then you're also going up to 11-man. Just a lot of changes happening for Nevis and kind of the things that they're trying, that they're going to have to do next year, kind of jumping up a class, a new coach, new whatever. You're graduating, obviously, a good handful of kids from that state title team 2 years ago. Just very fascinating. I'm excited to see how that section shakes out.
How about Underwood in all of this? Does Underwood stay a Class A? Or do they back down to 9-man?
They are still in 9-man. Yeah.
They're still in. So that's what's fun about some of these is Otter Tail Central always kind of teeters on the edge, right? Yep. Underwood's another one that always teeters. Nevis is, but I mean, they've, from my existence, have pretty much only ever been 9-man. But you just know that they've always been close. It's fun to see these different waves of like, hey, we're graduating a senior class and bringing in a bigger freshman class, and that difference of 10 kids is enough to jump class sizes.
Yeah, a couple other things that stood out to me. One is in basketball specifically, is Section 6A. Pelican Rapids is jumping down from 8AA, and they are moving in to 6A. So they are going down a class into Pelican Rapids won Section 8AA the last 2 years. And now they are going into Section 6A, a team that's featured Henning, who finished top 5 in state. And then you have West Central area. You have Ada Borup West. You have Park Christian. You have just this, for lack of a better term, this meat grinder of a boys basketball section, and it impacts girls basketball too and some other things as well. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? Pelican moving down to Class A.
Can't believe Pelican moved down, yet Monaga is stuck in 2A. That's another thing that just blows my mind. I don't get it.
It is the thing I've learned since moving here is there are some and it's been over a decade now. There are some long-standing beliefs about the sizes of towns that people who grew up in these towns are having a really hard, it's
the changing demographics. People are not quite used to it yet.
Right. And I mean, I get it. The difference in the size of town between Pelican Rapids, they're different size towns, but these school populations are what they are. And again, Pelican Rapids is probably a school that teeters on the edge. And if you graduated a small senior class, or in this instance, graduated a big senior class and brought in a small freshman class, that might be a difference of 20 kids. And that is enough to put you down below that threshold. And of course, we know this goes back now years, how Monaga feels about being in 8AA. And I mean, we've looked through it. CJ and I we do this probably 3 times a year where we just go look at enrollments and try to guess where people are. Monaga is not only a 2A school, they're supplanted into that 2A enrollment.
The highest enrollment in the Park Region Conference.
Pretty darn close. It's like them and Pillager and
then Wadena.
Deer Creek are the top 3 in whichever order you want to put them.
Right, exactly. And everybody in this area sees Wadena Deer Creek rightly as a solid AA school. And if you have enrollment that's right there or bigger, I mean, yeah, you're right. And I get it. If you're Monaga, you're used to that. That's what you've been seeing.
We're having so many kids, Monaga. Everyone's
frisky Finns.
Families just aren't as big as they used to be. That's not true in Monaga. Those families are as big as they ever used to be. Holy buckets.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still calling Hendricksons at girls basketball games. I've done 20 of them.
Some other things that kind of stick out here, looking at basketball, looking at baseball rather. Looking at some of the things I know in Section 6AA for baseball, Wadena Deer Creek is staying in that section. So is Staples Motley, but going out is Albany, who's going up to 3A, and Annandale, who's going up to 3A as well. Albany going to Section 8, Annandale going to Section 5. So a little bit of shakeup there, but still kind of the same familiar faces that are around. I know baseball, New York Mills is staying in Section 5A. And I think if you're New York Mills and Parker's Prairie, you both probably feel good about that because both of them are section champions and there's no threat of New York Mills coming back in and then Parker's and Mills kind of having to fight for it like we've seen so often deep in the Section 6A, stuff like that. So looking at baseball, with that Section 6A is tough as is, and Section 5A's had some good state teams come out of there, but I think for Parker's Prairie, that's like, okay, one less team we have to worry about in that section.
Facts. Does Wadena Deer Creek softball stay in 8AA or did they move to 6AA? Again, one of those weird ones. Wadena Deer Creek baseball gets to go to St. Cloud, while Wadena Deer Creek softball goes to Thief River Falls.
Wadena Deer Creek is still in Section 8AA. The only change there was Frazee is moving down to Section 6A.
Okay.
So, yeah. Zeke, anything kind of on the, we've kind of neglected our running sports a little bit. Anything in cross country, track and field that stands out to you?
For 6A fans, the good news is Perham stays in 8AA, and that's good news for Staples Motley. It's good news for Bertha Hewitt. Minnewaska kind of on the cusp as well. They got a really good girls team coming back next year, so they stay in Section 6A. So it'll be real competitive. I think really the only big change is Melrose moves to 2A, and New London Spicer comes down to A. We're really the big changes for Class A cross country.
All right. Anything in track and field, or is it kind of all business as usual?
Pretty much business as usual there.
All right.
For the class. I think another big thing we should talk about is those poor Moorhead Spuds. Have you seen the draw that they got?
I did not know.
Football moves to 6A. They're the only team not in the Metro in Section 6 in Class 6.
I mean, that's another one of those where you think like, oh shoot, isn't Moorhead kind of on the same level as like your Brainards and Alexander? No, Moorhead is
Huge.
Moorhead's huge. It probably is on par with that. It's a tough draw for them travel wise because I mean they have to drive 3 hours to play any section game.
They had to drive anyway, though.
That's
true. What's an extra hour going from St. Michael Albertville to Cretan Durham Hall, right?
Exactly.
Put them in Class 5A. What's their closest opponent is still Maple Grove.
Brainerd, Bemidji, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So they're getting thrown into that. Alexandria, I know, was rumored that they were going to go up a class. Did they end up going up a class for basketball?
They did. They moved up in pretty much everything: swimming, cross country, football, basketball. They're all.
And which, by the way, again, changing demographics, changing things. Alexandria keeps getting bigger. Moorhead keeps getting bigger. Like some of those, like they are just going to keep getting bigger because they are kind of hubs in their areas, and they're kind of going to just attract the population. And yeah, so it's again not to say that with that school like Alexandria area who won the state 3A boys basketball championship. But there was a little bit of urgency to like, let's win this one before we go up to 4A, and they were able to come away with it.
I'm interested in Moorhead. Well, a couple of things. One, Moorhead's got like a stud quarterback, so it'll be interesting to see. Like
Spud quarterback.
Yeah. But they're awesome, and because of like he's an all-time kind of recruit in this state.
Yep.
Gophers won him.
Yep, it'll be interesting to see how if that moving up, if that it really is an impact or not. I mean, it is because Eden Prairie, in the grand scheme of things. My question for you is, and I think this is my new kind of, I don't know, stump speech or whatever. Like, doesn't hockey need a third class?
I don't know enough about hockey, but I'd be in on that mainly because Class A feels so top heavy.
I mean, if you think about schools like, and I will include Alexandria, I would include Detroit Lakes, I would include Northern Lakes, I would include Hermantown, Roseau, Fergus Falls, probably, maybe like your Worthingtons. Aren't we talking about like a huge? Think about the difference between Alexandria or Northern Lakes and Bagley.
Right.
And just that population. Now, I mean, you could say Wadena Deer Creek, you could put them in this mix. Wadena Deer Creek hockey is essentially the entire park region. Mm-hmm. So that impacts their, numbers in that sport. But aren't we missing a tier in that sport?
Yeah, I think we are. I'm not an expert hockey person, but I feel like we definitely are. Zeke, you pay attention a little closer than I do. What do you think?
Yeah, here is the realigned 6A for hockey. Alexandria moves out. They move to 8-2A. So again, Cardinals moving up in pretty much everything. So you lose Alexandria, but you add Sartell and you add Little Falls to that section.
Those are two more schools. You could Sartell, Little Falls. Like, aren't those a perfect 2A school? Like Alexandria is. Like, they're great. Are they going to beat Edina?
No.
Minnetonka?
I mean,
maybe their first lines are apples comparison.
Yeah, Moorhead.
Jeez,
they're in the same section as Moorhead now. Yeah.
I don't know. It just is. It seems like that sport is missing a tier of. I know this is going to sound weak. I know people are going to make fun of me for this. It's not fair.
Yeah,
it's not. Yeah, you throw in the private school equation there as well. If girls tennis can have 3 classes, why can't hockey have 3 classes?
It doesn't make any sense. Now,
it doesn't.
Girls hockey, maybe. just because of the sheer numbers and how many schools are involved.
Actually makes a lot more sense.
But that boys hockey thing is missing a class.
Yeah, I think so. That's 100% fair. I think we've kind of done our big comprehensive deep dive so much. Anything else that kind of stands out to you guys in terms of this section realignment? I know in terms of just as a Bertha Hewitt alum myself, Section 5A gets a little bit of a shakeup for basketball. Maple Lake is out. They're jumping up a class. Pact is jumping up a class. Kind of going a little bit more up north and kind of the realignment. Buganay is moving up from 8A into 5A. Hinkley Finlayson is going down a class into 5A, which Hinkley Finlayson has kind of been around, maybe in that kind of area.
They're one of those bubble teams. They teeter on the edge all the time.
Exactly. And Cass Lake Bena going from 8A into 5A. Now, as a Bertha Hewitt alum myself, I always remember Cass Lake Bena, and no love lost for them. They knocked us out of the state tournament in 2008, and that was the undefeated season for Bertha Hewitt. The first round matchup was against Cass Lake Bena in the state tournament. So I know that their girls program was really good. They had a BSU commit who was really excellent for them. They didn't win their section, but I know that they have a really good program. So that's kind of the only things that stand out to me. Anything else about section realignment that we need to talk about in this kind of all-encompassing conversation a little bit? The other thing, Osakis in basketball going from 6AA to 8AA also kind of stands out to me.
All I'm hearing is you're complaining about getting to go to the casino after some Bertha Hewitt Bears games this winter. Just stop
on a Friday night, and all of a sudden Corey's going to look and see that I build a hotel.
Yep, why not?
Sounds awesome.
Sounds great. Go check out Zeke's full write-up online, WadenaRadio.com, Superstation K106 mobile app, and you can also find it on Sports Cow on Facebook. Fellas, a moo.
Moo.
Biblically accurate moo. I like it. All right. We got to talk a little basketball mayhem, but before we do that, we probably should give a shout out to the fine folks at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade who helped make the morning sports desk possible. Corey, what do we got to say?
Well, they're gearing up for the game tonight, and who you cheering for is what Pizza Ranch wants to know. It doesn't matter who you cheer for. Know that you can fuel your game watching experience tonight with the $30 meal deal from the Pizza Ranch. 2 medium, 1 topping pizzas, 16 boneless wings, and a chocolate chip cookie. You could also get 2 medium pizzas for $22 or the 12-piece chicken with family mashed potatoes and gravy for just $29. Pizza Ranch getting you ready for tonight's game, Florida and Houston. Have you guys seen the big 7'9" kid on Florida's roster? The big French-Canadian Olivier Roux. He's just an absolute monster. He will not be suiting up. He's being red-shirted, but it's a big game tonight, and Pizza Ranch is there to bring that game home with you. Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade bringing us the morning sports desk each and every single day.
All right, guys, we got to talk a little basketball mayhem, wrapping up kind of the Final Four weekend, which means that we need to go back to the well a little bit here and talk about this bracket mayhem. This bracket madness brought to you by the Elmer Goshi Post 3922 in Wadena. Guys,
here we go. Hello, friends. By the way, it's also Masters Week. Shout out, biggest week of the year for
hello, friends.
Hello, friends. We've got a match here. We've got a race in our 2025 basketball mayhem because Mike has one of the Final Four teams, final teams, and Ron in second place has the other one. Now, there's a significant margin, and I don't know the exact scoring, but it's in play. If Ron's team wins, I think he's going to come away with the championship. And isn't this what it's all about, Florida and Houston? Mike and Ron down to the wire for the basketball mayhem?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Mike Lake in first place with 145 points. Ron has 131. And yeah, it looks like a sizable gap on paper, but the winner of the national championship gets a whole host of points, and that could put him in the lead for $250 thanks to the Wadena VFW. I've picked Florida as my champion, so I'm rooting for Florida tonight. I thought they'd play Duke, and as much as I had Duke winning and would have helped me points-wise, one, I was already out so far. It wasn't going to do anything. And two, when Duke loses, America wins. So it was really fun to see them choke away that game the way they did. I'm rooting for Florida tonight. What are you guys doing?
Houston Cougar fans are also Houston Astro fans. So I'm going to go Florida.
Oh, good call.
I don't care. I want to be as respectful about this as possible. I want chaos. I want the final score to be like 96-93. I want no defense at all. I want crazy offense. I want let's say like a 65-footer for the win.
Mm-hmm.
I want all I wanted was Paige Beckers to win a title. And
she did.
And she did. That's all I cared about. So anything else that happens now is just gravy. Just please don't be boring like the women's national championship game was.
Yeah.
Let's make this a fun game.
Corey just hopes both teams have fun, really. And looking at,
I think it'd be funny if it was like 45-44.
Just an absolute,
just a crap show.
Yeah, rock fest.
12% field goal percentage. That's the game Corey wants.
The first game Corey was describing was like the 2010 national championship where Duke won it out against Butler at the buzzer. That's what Corey wants, his ideal national championship.
He was so close to making that.
It was sweet.
He almost made it.
Gordon Hayward almost willed Butler to a national championship.
Yep.
So close.
Decided, by the way, I think Paige Beckers is my favorite women's basketball player ever.
Wow.
I think the order is Paige and then Lindsay. And then it's like Caitlin Clark, Candace Parker, Diana Taurasi, Cheryl Swoops, Elena Deladon, who just retired, by the way. Tara Bjorklund, Sibley East alum, class of 1998, who played in the WNBA. There's a lot, but I think my top three are now Paige, Lindsay, Caitlin. Is that recency? Is that too recency biased, or is that an okay top three?
No Simone Augustus.
No Simone.
No Angel Reese. No Angel Reese.
Well,
where's Fee?
Fee is probably in that tied for fourth
place. Yeah.
No Maya Moore, no Nafisa Collier. No,
they're all on the list. Like Angel's on the list. She's just not near the top.
She's on the list. It just took her a couple tries to get there.
The important thing is that Paige overtakes Lindsay.
Yes, that of course is.
I just love watching her play basketball.
No Janelle McCarville?
What is she bad at? Janelle was also a monster.
Yeah, she was.
No Carrie Noga?
What is no, I didn't. I never got to see Sari play. Never. I mean, like a little bit in college, but that one was. I just kind of missed that. I just don't. Where does what's Paige's weakness? Strength, like literal strength, is probably it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Went up at ACL last year. Yeah, great story.
Oh, good.
So
yeah.
And
none of us biased there, but my goodness.
Everybody knew it, by the way. Like this, watching Hopkins, everybody, like that guy takes the Twitter lap every year because he took a picture of her like in 6th grade at like an AAU, and it's like, watch over this Paige Becker. She's gonna be insane. And he's like, by the way, I was the first on the bandwagon.
He was great.
Yep.
He does get credit for that. I would run that back every single year too.
You see the gal with the sign, Paige Beckers cooked me in high school or something like that at the championship game? Love it.
Who was the first pick in the WNBA draft, by the way?
Dallas.
Oh, man.
And Paige does not want to go to Dallas. She wants to go to LA. LA has the second pick. She was rooting hard for the Sparks to get it.
Oh, her and Brink on the same team.
Yeah, and they added Kelsey Plum now too in LA.
Yep, that's right.
Bruh.
God.
Bruh.
Bruh.
The Lynx lost their chance.
Did.
Yeah, because you got Indiana. Indiana's retooling around Caitlin Clark.
Because if when people say, "Oh, those leagues are scripted," it's like, no, they would not have sent Paige Beckers they would not have sent Caitlin Clark to Indiana. They would not like.
Yeah, well, Indiana does love their hoops.
They do like their hoops, but like that it's a thing of like, I mean,
no,
why couldn't the Lynx just suck instead of making the finals? Why couldn't they have just bottomed out one year just to deliberately get Paige Beckers?
What makes it scripted is the commissioner wearing a New York City skyline during
that
the
that doesn't help. That doesn't help.
Sad.
That doesn't help.
No, I want Paige to win like every title. I'm just sad that I never got to call any of her games. Just
Corey,
never.
why do we have a Hopkins game on the broadcast schedule? You don't understand.
I did get to call Jalen Suggs and Chet Holmgren when they were in high school, back when we were doing all those. And I've seen now Tori Orline. I've called Tori Orline these are some real players. Paige, I missed.
Yeah. I've
CJ,
done
I was gonna say you had Maddie Greenway versus Perm in the state championship last year.
So that's my one so far.
Does your cat have
and Chase Thompson? You had Chase Thompson a couple times. Yeah, you had Chase. Yeah,
sweet.
There we go. Anybody from Mankato East? I don't think he's committed anywhere.
No.
The Gophers did get a commit in the transfer portal from a kid from Mankato East who played at like Cal, but.
There you go. Hey, Samson Hagstrom, University of Northwestern St. Paul Eagles. There you go. UMAC, baby.
How are the Gophers? I mean, Northwestern doing all the recruits. How's Midland supposed to get these guys?
Horns up or whatever. That roll, right? Isn't that what we say?
Yeah. Hey, Perham alum, Soren Anderson, Alexandria alum, Samson Hagstrom. Let's go, baby.
They had Henning alum Tyson Misegatis on that squad too.
Yeah, man.
So
they don't want to pull from up here.
They do. The pipeline is a direct credit to Zeke Foreman. So
yes, sir.
He's doing his recruiting work.
I thought I had my Northwestern Eagles hat in here, but I don't. I was going to change hats.
Who else?
You left it at a recruit's house, so you could say, "Oh, hey, sorry about that. Let me. I'll come back and meet you, and then we'll talk a little more." It's like what was the name of the coach from University of Miami in the '80s? Schnellenberger or whatever. He had like the big pipe, and he would leave it at certain recruits' houses. So that way he'd have an excuse to go back and talk to them again. Because they'd just be like, if he really liked it, he'd leave his pipe like right on your coffee table. And like a day later, he'd call you and be like, "Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, let's
follow up.
Yeah.
Just show back up.
Meet me for breakfast.
Just turn the car around and go get it. It's not that big of a deal."
All right. We got one final thing to talk about, and then we'll get out of here. Is the fact that the Minnesota Timberwolves kind of not control their own destiny, because I don't quite know the mathematics yet, but they are sitting in a very good spot for the rest of the season with the Timberwolves. So they not only have won 5 in a row, which, by the way, it took a heave and a prayer from Anthony Edwards for them to escape a Philadelphia team full of G Leaguers.
Weren't they winning that game, though? Weren't they winning that game?
They were by like 20, and then the Sixers came back to take like a 1 or 2 point lead a couple different times.
It was to seal it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, but when he made that 3, they were up, correct?
Yep. That was the dagger. Yeah.
It was like it puts us up by 2 scores with like 30 seconds to go or somewhere along those lines. The point is, like, that was not like a show up and take care of business game. That was we had to sweat it out. And if Rudy Gobert hasn't been on like a tear, who knows? They also got a win over the Nets. Of course, they had the win over the Nugs. They had a win over the Pistons, win over the Suns. They're undefeated right now in the month of April. Tomorrow, they play the Milwaukee Bucks. And then on Thursday, they play the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis. That is an 8:30 p.m. tip-off. I believe that's a TNT game.
Should be. If it's not.
It'll be a primetime game no matter what. And then they play the Nets at home and the Jazz at home to end the season. So 2 more road games, 2 more home games. Here is a look at the Western Conference standings. Minnesota Timberwolves right now, it is a 4-way tie from the 5 to 8 seeds. Here's how the tiebreakers break down. The Clippers have the 5 seed. The Warriors have the 6. The Timberwolves, the 7. The Memphis Grizzlies, once holding on to the 3 seed, now are down to the 8. And by the way, the Nuggets have lost 4 in a row. They're sliding. They're only a half game behind all of these teams, and the Lakers are 2 games in front of all of these teams tied for the play-in. The Rockets are very comfortably going to get that 2 seed at this point if they haven't officially clinched it yet. Somebody said Wolves fans need to be rooting for the Rockets in these final 4 games because the Rockets, they already took care of business. They beat the Warriors last night. They play the Clippers on Wednesday. They play the Lakers on Friday, and they play the Nuggets to end the season on Sunday. So we all need to be Houston Rockets fans over the next 3 games that they play to hope that they can win. The point is, the Wolves could be anywhere from the 8 seed to the 4 seed, which is insane.
Yeah, I've been watching a little bit. It was Golden State versus the Lakers the other night, and I think Golden State won that one where it's kind of a lose-lose situation. The good news for the Wolves is that they keep winning. They have the easiest schedule to close things out here, and they're taking advantage of that with that 5-game winning streak. You had the Lakers playing the Thunder last night. You're like, okay, big OKC win would drop the Lakers down a game, but the Lakers beat OKC last night, and the teams that ahead of us that we need to lose, other than Denver fans were chirping at Wolves fans after the double overtime game. Oh, we're not in the play-in. Well, you very well could be. You very well could be at this time next week, and that's. I mean, Corey wanted chaos in college basketball. And that's exactly what this is. Where if the Wolves were in the East, they'd be like the 4 seed or something like that, locked up and resting guys ahead of the playoffs. But here they're 7 and fighting to get out of that bottom 4 and into the top 6.
In the Eastern Conference, by the way, the Wolves at 46 wins would be the 5 seed.
They'd be the 5. Yeah.
They'd be the 5 seed with like a 2-game lead over Milwaukee, and the team ahead of them would be the ironically the Indiana Pacers.
The Denver's such an interesting. By the way, none of their losing has anything to do with Jokic. He is putting up unbelievable numbers, so incredible, in fact, that when he is on the floor for them, we joked, CJ and I did last week, about how many minutes he's playing. When he is on the floor, the Denver Nuggets plus minus is historically, like, I think one of the top 5 teams historically when he plays. When he doesn't play, they're number 30 in the league. So, but one of the reasons why they're losing is because Murray's just not healthy and right, and hasn't been since pretty much just before the playoffs a season ago.
You got Russell Westbrook.
They're in a really weird spot. They have Russ, who just has, if we were laughing about Angel Reese and her just building houses off the backboard. Russ isn't even doing that. The ball just ends up in the 6th row when he drives into the lane once a game. I don't understand how that's even possible.
You ever see it? It's the meme where it's got Jokic and it's like, I have a 60-point triple-double. Surely we can win this game. And it just has Russell Westbrook appear and just says, ha ha ha, screw you.
Well, the same is true, by the way, for one of the Timberwolves' next opponents in Milwaukee, and Giannis.
Giannis is
going to score 45 points against the Timberwolves on, is it tomorrow night or Wednesday night, whenever they play next? And Milwaukee's probably going to lose that game by 15. They're just a weird team. Giannis is terrifying, of course. And in a 1-game thing, it's probably good, but over the course of a season,
probably go off and drop like 45.
Well, if that's, but you take that.
Right.
Okay, then good for you.
Dame couldn't miss. What?
Yeah, you'd like the Timberwolves against Dallas last year. Like, okay, you guys are just going to not miss corner 3 all series long. All right.
Okay. Yeah,
I guess we're going to lose now. So
I guess this is fun. And again, we talked about it, Corey, last week. We said the Wolves over their final 6 games have a really good shot to do something. Watch them go 3-3 in the final 6. Right now, they've gone 2-0. So I can't wait for them to go 1
Please don't wish that on.
5-1, right, CJ?
That's what Corey predicted. Yes.
Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
I said 4-2. So, I mean, even them going 2-2 still, if they get the win, the win over Memphis is the most important because that one will help with tiebreakers and just will help push Memphis down a peg. That's if you're ranking important of wins that you need to get. Milwaukee weirdly feels like it's not the most important because that's one, like, they're a playoff team, whatever. Like, beat the Nets, beat the Jazz, make sure you beat the Grizzlies. Weird, like, Weirdly, the
It's-
Milwaukee game is the one where you're not the most concerned about.
It's important though, because there's only 5 games left and every win is important. But it is like 4 games, sorry. But like of those teams that you mentioned, name one of them that isn't weird.
No, they all are.
There is a
Utah, 16-win Utah to put the Wolves.
By the way,
in
one of those wins
play-in.
against the Wolves because they decided to chuck a ball 5 rows into the stands.
That's right.
But
I
like,
forgot about that.
other than OKC, who is awesome, like even Houston, like I think if you want a first round matchup, you want to play Houston.
There's not a lot of playoff experience on that team.
From the 2 seed, I mean, Houston's going to be the 2 seed, but really from the 2 seed to about the 9,
There's
it's
question marks.
Wide open.
pretty fatal flaws for each of those teams.
Yeah. So
I think I saw on ESPN the other day that OKC has like a 72% chance to win the West or something ridiculous like that.
It's something huge.
And of course, the Lakers are second with like 8%.
But also,
didn't show up on that list, by the way.
whoever's
They did
going to
not.
come to the West is going to come out bloodied and bruised, and Boston is just going to be like,
Well, I guess it's time to play the finals now.
Yeah.
you guys, we've played 4 games in a row and then rested for a week while you guys wrapped up. I guess we'll see what happens.
Did I see Boston just set
Exactly
the?
what Boston did last year.
Did I see Boston set the season record for threes made in a year or something like that?
Yeah, probably.
I think they just hit that
They
with,
shoot a lot of threes.
with 5 games left.
Yeah,
A lot. Joe Mazzulla is a psychopath. Like,
Yep. No.
that guy comes ready to break kneecap. Dan Campbell talks about eating kneecaps. That guy will actually eat a kneecap.
Yeah.
Like,
it's so annoying. They're good all the time.
It'll be
Like
Lakers
the Yankees.
Celtics in the championship.
just like, are you kidding me? Like, of course you are.
All right, if it's Lakers Celtics, who do you cheer for?
Boston.
Yeah.
You do?
All day.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Oh.
Mainly, it's because of my affinity for like the 08 Celtics and Kevin Garnett. But
Yeah. I don't want good things to happen to Luka Doncic. I mean, you throw JJ Redick in there just kind of as a babysitter for that team. LeBron in that Golden State game. Did you see where he ran into the Golden State player and hit the ground for like 5 minutes?
no, I did not.
I'm so sick of plays like that. He like ran into him and like clutched his stomach or something, and he was down. The play kept going. He's on the ground. He's hitting the. No, you haven't seen. I'll send it to you. It ruined my night. I was cheering for the Lakers to beat the Warriors until that play happened. I was like, Steph, go off, man. Hit your 45 and just put these losers
I don't
to
care
bed.
how this impacts the Wolves. Please
No,
communicate that guy.
Exactly. And the Warriors won, and it
And by proxy, Zeke gets to laugh at our sales guy, Jared. So
is he a Lakers fan now, by the way, since they traded Luka? I haven't asked him yet. I haven't been brave enough to ask him yet.
Luka fan.
Yeah, I know he's a Luka fan.
Weird. He has no allegiances at all.
But
So-
Luka,
Luka could cuddle up next to Saddam Hussein and be like, I don't know, I'm just a Luka. You know,
in that same little like hole in the dirt, just
I don't know. I've been watching Team Iraq play for way longer than you guys have. I'm probably the biggest Team Iraq fan in
we need to get out of here. Morning Sports Desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.